Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. Live video, live Q&A this morning. A rainy, crappy Ohio day. Excuse me. I just rolled out of bed literally 30 minutes ago. I went to see last night a friend's band in downtown Cincinnati. A gentleman that actually produced my album, which will be released here soon. But I'm going to do a live Q&A for about the next 30 minutes or as long as you guys have questions. So once YouTube shows people that I'm actually here, excuse me, once they shows people I'm actually here, I'll get started. We can keep this camera focused. If we can get this camera to figure out where I am at. Excuse me. Did a podcast with Alan Roberts from Every Damn Day Fitness last night. Hope you guys will check that out when it's released. Follow his YouTube channel at Every Damn Day Fitness. Alan and I did about a 2-hour podcast, nearly 2-hour podcast. What's going on? Alan and I had a very long podcast, a lot of great information. You don't want to miss this because we really dive deep into some subjects you guys want to hear about, rip-a-toe squatting and all that kind of good stuff. So, I got my morning coffee. I'll be taking questions for about 30 minutes. I'm going to dive into your questions in just a second. Before I get into your questions, guys, just a reminder, over at my website, superlivingtoday.com, you can get the Massive Iron t-shirts. I got some other interesting shirts over there. If you need an exercise form assessment, a workout assessment, a diet assessment, or you need coaching, muscle building coaching, or weight loss coaching, you can get it over at my website, superlivingtoday.com. All right, enough with the commercials. I know you guys, a lot of you guys support me, and I appreciate that. Let's dive into the questions. Let's see, S. Param says, hey, are you good? Heard about the news. I'm good. I don't know what news you're talking about, but I'm good. Air Raid Band says, hey, BHUD, is decline bench worth doing? Absolutely. It's worth doing. It's a big hitting compound movement. I don't consider, when I do programming, I don't consider it a replacement for bench press. There's different ways you could work it into your programming. You could do bench press one day, and then the next week, bench press 1 week, and then the next week decline bench press. You could do bench press, heavier bench press, and then drop down and do decline bench press for reps. Because of the pressing plane, because of how you're pressing on a decline press, it's going to tend to focus more on your triceps. That doesn't mean it's not a good chest building exercise. It is. It's a compound movement. But yeah, decline bench is okay to use. A lot of guys think it isn't. But as Param says, it's 4 p.m. I sit on my couch and eating cereal. That sounds like a good Saturday. What's going on, Christian? How are you doing? Appreciate your support. And sorry, every time I scroll up on this phone and look at questions, my phone tries to focus. Air Raid Band says, me and my brother have been playing cards and running football routes lately for some cardio. Any other fun cardio suggestions? Man, I don't know. We like to get creative. I mean, I like to do random stuff. We're going to be doing it here. I actually opened up a local training service here where I'm sitting. But I like to do random stuff, like jump squats and burpees and body weight squats. And we got a parking lot out here. I'm going to be doing classes out here with Spring. I just like to get creative with stuff when I do cardio and not just do treadmill stuff. My favorite form of cardio is definitely hiking, because you can get some pretty intense cardio in if you go on a hiking course that is, a lot of up and down challenging terrain. That's my favorite form of cardio. And usually you guys have a lot of hiking trails close to you. So, let's see. In memory of John, hey, how's it going? Sergio, good morning, Steve. Can you build a solid body with just dumbbells? Absolutely. Sorry, guys. It's a nasty day, and I just woke up and I can't seem to get the phlegm out of my throat, so you'll have to tolerate me. Can you build a good body with just dumbbells? Absolutely. If you know how to train properly, meaning you understand the mechanisms that drive muscle gains, you can build a good body with any decent amount of resistance. Now, if I had just dumbbells, what I would probably do, say if I was training chest, is I would probably start with 2 sets of heavier dumbbells, dumbbell bench press. Say, I don't know, I might go up to 130 and try to do with 130s and try to do 2 sets of 6. 2 sets of 6, 2 sets of 7, 2 sets of heavy ones. Then I would probably drop down in weight and maybe do 4 sets of 10 supersetted with push-ups. Because when you say, can you build muscle with only dumbbells, that doesn't exclude doing stuff like body weight exercises. So this is how I would do it. I do 2 sets of heavier dumbbell bench presses, 2 to 3, for 6 to 8 reps. Then I do maybe 4 sets of dumbbell bench press or alternating dumbbell bench press for like 10 reps, supersetted with push-ups, maybe for as many reps as possible, or 20 reps. That's a really good base. That's a really good fundamental. And then you could add in things like flies. You can actually take dumbbell plates, the standard plates, pinch 2 together, and just press out like this. And when you get to the end here, you can feel a really good chest contraction. That's a good superset exercise. So you could add in a third superset exercise of flies, and then you quickly go and put 2 plates out like this, and you superset it with that. So you can do a lot with just dumbbells, plates, and body weight exercise. If you need me to design a routine, head over to my site, superlivingtoday.com. I'd be glad to help you out. All right, Ben on Adventures. Hey, Steve, hope you're having an awesome week. Thank you, Ben. You as well. Why do so many people with thoracic extensions? Heard about some Swedish sports research. They identified 4 types of spines. I don't know anything about that. That's not in my lane. Not read the studies. Don't know what you're referencing, so I can't really speak on it. Sergio says, I like the heavy bag for cardio. 1, 2, 3 minute rounds. That's great. You can also do some, you can also superset the heavy bag, or just combine the heavy bag with jump squats and burpees and body weight squats and push-ups and all kinds of stuff. So you can really get creative. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. Opinions on Senior Chang. Mike Chang? Good businessman, that's for sure. Hi, Steve. I'm doing 1 set of your full body beginners workout, or doing 1 of your full body beginners workouts. If I do pull-ups and I can only do less than 10, should I maybe do a finisher with another machine? Absolutely. If you can only do 10 pull-ups, it's certainly okay to do a different finisher. These types of analyses when you're doing a workout program where you realize there's a weakness or some variable in the program that's not absolutely working perfectly for you, that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to analyze the weak spots of programs and then insert things that are going to work for you. So that is perfectly fine. Tom says, excuse me, let me get some coffee. I rolled straight out of bed for this one, so I'm old and grumpy and all kinds of stuff. Tom says, what is your opinion on how to set the week off for mass gain? What is a split that's proven for most people? I've answered this question many times in many different ways. It doesn't matter, Tom. It doesn't matter. What's going to matter is that you find a workout system that you like. Now, you want a proven workout? My system, Power Muscle Block, which used to be Power Muscle Burn, but I evolved it a little bit, that has been around for about a decade, and I literally have had 5,000 to 6,000 comments on there. Not exaggerating. Feedback. It's been wildly popular, so popular that the app JFit keeps ripping it off, and then other people keep rewriting it. So it's kind of taken on a life of its own. That's a proven system. You can check that out over at my site, superlivingtoday.com, under the courses tab. It's called Power Muscle Block. But outside of that, I got tons of free courses, tons of free programs, tons of books. It doesn't really matter. Proven workouts. A workout is effective when it has compound movements, progressive overload, a reasonable volume, and you're being consistent. So that's really the important thing. As I've said many times before, workouts, there's hundreds and thousands of different workouts, and they all will work if you work them properly. So don't get obsessed with that. Let's see. Milo says, how would you go about building a good body with weighted calisthenics? Oh, somebody's here. What's going on, Shorty?
I'm just going to say hello. Hi.
Yeah, she's over there getting ready to sew. Milo says, how would you go about... Wait, you're going to answer this question.
Oh, okay.
How would you go about building a good body with weighted calisthenics, gymnastic rings, and limited free weights? Go.
Oh, so we're doing gymnastics?
Yeah.
We use our body then.
All right. I'll take over now. Thank you.
I don't know.
All right. So, gymnastics rings, I don't know anything about. But if I had a pair of gymnastics rings, I would get creative. I would do some form. You have to look at the planes of movement. You have an overhead press. You have, and I call this a vertical press, a horizontal pull, and a vertical pull. Those are the 4 upper body movement patterns or planes, if you will. So if I had rings, I would try to find ways to mimic or use those things. You could do a push-up on the rings. You could do a dip on the rings. You could do an inverted row on the rings. And to hit your shoulders, you'd probably have to get pretty darn creative with those. But with that, you could combine those with body weight exercises, and that would be a good start. So I hope that helps some. Adolfo says, dumbbell bench press strength standard. That's a really good question, and it's not something I've really analyzed before, but my bench press was about 390 by 2, and this was peaked out maybe 18 months ago. It got up to about 390 by 2. That's the strongest I was in the last 10 years at a lower body weight. So my bench press was around 400, 410, 405, whatever. My dumbbell bench press, I did 150s for 8 to 10. So I would say if you look at your 1 rep max, this is just using what I did. Take my 1 rep max was about 400. I was doing dumbbells by 300 for about 10. So about 75% of that weight in dumbbell weight by 10, which is going to put you pretty close to your barbell bench press weight. That's just where I was at. So that mileage will certainly vary. That'll be different for everybody. Why do many people have difficulty keeping thoracic extensions in lifts? I don't know anything about thoracic extensions. I really don't. I don't know what you're referencing. You're going to have to send me a picture. I'm getting too much. If you're talking about butt wink, which I'm not certain that you are, but if you're talking about their butt rolling under when they're squatting, it's either because they're going too deep or their form isn't set up properly. A lot of people go too deep in the squat, and then their butt's going to roll under because there's just no place, biomechanically to go anymore. It's just being pulled under by the hamstrings. The hamstrings have a limited amount of, length they can straighten, and at some point, because of how deep you're going, you get a little butt wink. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. I'm getting too much buffering, so I'm going to log off and log back on. All right, what's going on, Rich? And let's see, the original Riz K. Hey, Steve, I use weightlifting to supplement and enhance my kung fu. You ever try kung fu or any other martial art? Other than wrestling, no, but wrestling in my day really wasn't considered a martial art. I got very interested in, some of the Chinese martial arts in my time in the military, but quite frankly, I never had the money or the time to actually do them. So, no, I haven't. Any suggestion for getting back in the gym after recovering from full rotator cuff tear and bicep tear surgery. Keep going through PT. Keep up the good work. Thank you. When you go slow, you need to understand your limits. Or excuse me, when you're recovering from an injury, you need to understand your limits. You need to understand what you can do. When you go into the gym after an injury, you need to understand what you can do and what you can't do. And then the things you can do, you have to take your time and do them slowly. And I can't emphasize this enough. When I picked up a shoulder tear, I don't know, 10 years ago, picking up an empty oil drum at work. It was just a random lift and something ripped in my shoulder. A light, empty oil drum, right? So it took me a year to build my bench press back up. When you have an injury and you're recovering from an injury, again, you have to understand what you can do, and then just take your time and build up very slowly. Don't push things. Just let the weight come to you, and you'll know when you can add a few reps here, a little bit of weight there, and then before you know it, you'll be back to normal, or you'll be back to where you're going to be. Let's see. Thanks, Rich. I'll tell Fiona you said hello. David Martinez says, how many compound movements, squats, deadlifts, bench, would you recommend in one session on a full body workout? The routine I created is a little too taxing. That's a very good question. And this is actually one of the reasons why I made the video on vegan gains this week, and the advocation, or his advocacy of basically 20 sets of full body work in a workout. That's too much. Not only is it too much volume, not only if you're pushing for progressive overload, is it going to be virtually impossible to do that volume of sets, but it's over time as you get stronger, it's going to beat up your body. You're going to pick up, you're going to overwork certain movement patterns, and that is going to put you in high risk for injuries. So when I'm doing a full body workout, when I'm building a full body workout, and you guys can analyze any of the full body workouts I've done in my books or online, I'm very cognizant of this fact, and I usually only put 2 to 3 compound movements at most. That's one of my rules when I'm structuring a program. Usually 2 is about the cap, sometimes 3. Now, there are very rare times, depending on the program or the intensity of the program, where it's okay to do 4 or 5. And I've built programs like this before, but you can generally only run that for the short term, because you're going to beat your body up and you need to change back. So if you need me to look at your program and kind of refine it for you, head over to my website, Super Living Today, and check out the workout assessment section. I'd be glad to help out. Alexander, by the way, wanted to say thanks. Just finished week 4, and the rep goal system works perfect. Thank you. And you know what? It's always satisfying for me to see somebody use that system, because it's not magic, but it works really, really well. And if you learn to push on sets, you're going to build a lot of muscle. Uh-oh, we got somebody back.
I thought you had a turn. I had a huge bang.
No, everything's fine.
I thought you hurt yourself.
She thought I fell down out here.
Yes, had a turn.
No, I had a turn. I'm like, what's a turn? I thought you asked if I had a turd. No.
A turn, like.
Okay, no, I'm good. Joel Johnson says, is whey protein really necessary after workout? Is there any window? Look, I don't like that stuff. I don't like that stuff, because lifting to me and nutrition to me isn't rocket science. You know, it just isn't. You got to get in, nutrition-wise, your daily calories and protein for your goal. If your goal is to lose weight, then you need to pull back on the calories a little bit. If your goal is to gain weight, then you probably need to eat a little bit more. If your goal is to build muscle, you need to eat a little bit more than normal. You need to get in your protein. So we have that established, calories and protein. When do you eat? Well, some guys will say, some guys get to the point with the anabolic window after lifting, like, the anabolic window isn't real, so therefore I'm not going to eat after I lift, all right? Don't be a dogmatic fool like that. Keep it reasonable. Keep it sane. some people after they lift, they feel kind of sick for an hour and they don't want to eat for an hour. That's okay. You're not gonna jeopardize gains if you don't eat right away. On the other hand, if you're hungry, then eat something little. Usually I'm a little bit hungry, so I eat something little. And then I go like an hour later and eat a bigger meal. So just listen to your body, be reasonable, and get in your calories and protein for the day. And is whey protein necessary? No. Is whey protein a great tool? Yes. 1 to 2 shakes a day can add 25 to 50 grams of protein really easy. I like to have it around because it's convenient. You know, on those days when life gets out of control or I'm busy at work or whatever, and I'm like, damn, my protein intake is low, and I forgot to pack food, or I forgot to put, 3 pieces of my Baby Bell light cheese into my lunchbox, and I need some extra protein, I'll just go grab a scoop. So is it necessary? No. Is it a good tool to have around? Yes. It's a pretty budget-friendly tool. So, but it's certainly not necessary, and not necessary after lifting. Not necessary at all. Asperum says they fail to keep upper back tight and round the upper back. Okay, I got you. Round the upper back and neck. Yeah, that's like that's a pretty common issue. What he's talking about on the squats is that guys will get here and they're kind of loose up here, and then when they sink in the hole, you'll see them kind of round forward. The upper body will round a little bit. That's pretty common. Most guys that I see squatting on YouTube or on Instagram don't understand how to keep the upper body tight during a squat. When you have the bar on your back, you need to pull it down on your traps, okay? That will keep your arms and drive your elbows down, or pull the bar on your traps. You do that one simple trick, and you are tight in your upper body. You're tight in your arms, you're tight in your traps, you're tight in your upper back, and that helps. But you have to be disciplined and maintain that on every rep. So before I sink, I tell people to lock their elbows down before every rep. So once you come up, you're exerting, and you're probably going to lose some tightness during that lockout if it's a really hard rep. I tell people again, after each rep, lock it down before you sink. That's a good tip to remember. Michael Francis says, you are the total package, a real deal. Thank you. Alexander Oleshko, do you think it's worth getting some squatting shoes? I am just a beginner in squatting, 155 pounds. Is it worth getting? It may be worth getting them, but I don't ever recommend getting a piece of equipment that you are uncertain has value for you, especially something that is expensive. If you are interested in squatting shoes, I would play around with some less expensive options first. Like I squat in flat-soled shoes, Chucks. Feel good to me. If you're going to elevate your heel in any squatting shoe, it's going to have a tendency to push you forward a little bit. And you have to be really careful with that, because a shoe can change the way you squat. And that little change at the foot base doesn't seem like a lot, but it's going to carry all the way up to your head, and it's going to change the way you squat. So be very careful with that. And certainly don't invest $155 or whatever it is for a squat shoe before you're 100% certain either you have the money to play around, or you're very, very certain based on research that's going to help you. All right, sorry. John West said, what weight class did you wrestle in? In high school, when I was a runner, I was down at 142, a big and beefy 142. And then when I went off to college, I was a big and beefy 155. So I gained like, I don't know, big Herculean 13 pounds. I wrestled probably, I don't know, somewhere around 150. I don't even know what wrestling weight classes are. It's been such a long time. But that's how big and beefy I was, somewhere around there. What's up, Katie? How's it going? Let's see. Joseph says, hey, Steve, I'm 57. And I've lost 200 pounds. That's absolutely wonderful. That just made my morning. I tried to send you some pics of my transformation via Messenger on your BHUD page. I hope you can check them out. I'll take a look when I'm done. That's a page I don't really use as much because I'm over on my Massive Iron Facebook group. But you can send them. I have a new page, Super Living Today, on Facebook. It's probably easiest, but I will check the BHUD page this morning. Very curious to see it, so thanks for sending those. James Burns says, good day, Steve. Watch this while doing 10 by 10 squats. That's pretty intense that you can watch anything while doing 10 by 10 squats, so keep killing it. Clayton, I have no ACL in my left knee. Deadlifting conventional and squatting low bar feel good. Scared to front squat. What exercise do you recommend to train quads with a bad knee? Well, it's curious to me that squatting low bar feels good. If you're afraid to front squat, you have to probably just try it with a bar, or you can also try goblet squats, which basically mimics the same thing. Front squats are great for the quads generally, but if you can't do them, you can't do them. I would just test things with, can you do a body weight squat? If you can do a body weight squat, maybe try a dumbbell, a goblet squat with a dumbbell, really light, 20 pounds. Try to do 10 reps, see how that feels. If you can do goblet squats, then you might want to work up in volume on goblet squats. But I can't really tell you what exercises are going to work for you, because you're going to have to actually go on that piece of equipment and try something extremely light. The only way, if I had a knee injury and I want to know if, say, leg extensions were good, I'd have to do leg extensions, extremely light. There are a lot of exercises that I do for quads. I do body weight lunges in volume. I do high box step-ups. Those are options, and I'm not sure how your knee would handle that. And it's confusing to me because your knee handles squats really well. So there's a whole number of exercises you could probably do. High volume of leg press reps is excellent quad builder. You might want to check out a very light weight on that as well. So I hope that helps some. Why do most beginner routines alternate overhead press and bench press? Generally because they're lazy. And I don't mean, that doesn't mean a program is not effective. But I program for a living. Workout structure is something I love to do. Am I the best? Am I the master of all masters? Am I the Zen master of creating workouts? No, I'm not. But I love structuring workout programs. And there very rarely, on occasion, I've alternated, program based on what the goals are between a bench press and overhead press. I don't like to do that because I like to get a lot of volume of both. I feel there is a lot of value in overhead press volume in a workout routine. And when you're on a full body workout and you're alternating between bench and overhead press, you're really typically only getting 9 sets a week and about 4.5 sets of overhead press a week. And I know workouts like this, and that's simply not enough. Not enough for me. I don't feel it's enough. And that's why I call it lazy programming, because I don't feel it's well thought out. At least it doesn't align with my philosophies. So if it doesn't align with my philosophies, I reserve the right to call it lazy. Fair enough? All right, let me get some coffee here, guys. Just a reminder, I'm going to keep going for a while. Excuse me. If I missed your questions, post them up. You can also send me a private message on Instagram at BenTheBarman. If you need one-on-one help, coaching, exercise form assessment, diet assessment, workout assessment, or some sexy Massive Iron t-shirts, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. All right. Gaines says, my shoulder used to get inflamed from workouts. I took 6 months off. I worked for a while on thoracic extension, and yesterday I did light overhead press for a couple sets. Now it feels inflamed. Now it feels inflamed. It's good. I don't understand the question, so I'm sorry. I'm a little bit confused. Alexander says, do you food prep? Absolutely. To varying degrees. Each night I prep protes, which is oatmeal, half a scoop of protein powder, and a container of Greek yogurt. I put that in the fridge at night. On Sundays, we usually prep about 20 containers of food that have about 250 calories a piece. So we'll put a bunch of food in a crock pot because that's the easiest way for us. And we'll make a lot of veggies, a protein. Typically, that's all I focus on, protein and veggies. For my weekly meals, I do eat, there's fats in the meats, obviously. And, I might add in some Greek yogurt if I need a little bit of creaminess. But I do meal prepping. I do stuff like that. I also do stuff like black rice and eggs. I take as a meal prep. A lot of times I'm taking like chicken and a lot of veggies, or beef and a lot of veggies. I keep it really simple and usually something with a crock pot. Tavender, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What is your workout routine these days? I want to be strong like you. I just started, my wife just started her business down here the last 2 months, and my workouts have been very sporadic. So we generally get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go down to the gym. So my workouts have been not so good. I haven't had time to deadlift enough. I haven't had time to squat enough. I haven't really had time to do everything enough. So my workouts right now are just in a down cycle. Back here, I'm putting in a personal training service. We're going to be helping people with obesity, showing them the basics of barbell and dumbbell exercises, body weight exercises. But I'm putting in a gym. I got a squat rack, I got a bench. I'll be able to do all the barbell and dumbbell exercises back here. So it's just going to return to the basics, barbell and dumbbell and body weight exercises. And if you want to get strong like me, the base program I used for about 10 years was pretty much the Power Muscle Block System, which you can find at superlivingtoday.com. It's under the courses section. If you can follow that for 2 years or 1 year or 6 months, you're going to get a lot stronger. Or you can follow one of the workouts I have in Massive Iron. Follow that for 6 months or a year, you're going to get a lot stronger. That will be a very good base. Joseph says, I'm now looking to put on as much size as I can at both the age of 57 and having lost 200 pounds. I'm curious on your thoughts about the ideal routine and daily regimen. Well, that is a difficult question to answer in video, but generally for somebody over 50, I want them to understand that daily, they probably don't need more than 12, 14, maybe 16 sets, 3 to 4 times a week. So we have to start with that parameter, and then we have to add in a couple compound exercises each day, maybe a heavier one, meaning about 6 to 8 reps for a couple sets. Then some volume like 4 by 10. So if you're doing bench press, you do a couple heavier sets of 6 reps. Then 4 sets by 10 on maybe dumbbell bench press. And then maybe 2 sets of push-ups for max reps. So we're up to like 8 sets for chest. And then maybe 2 sets of an isolation for like 15 to 20 reps. So we're up to about 10 sets. And then you have like, that's just for one muscle group. But for somebody over 50, it's going to come down to about 12, 14, 16 sets a day, a reasonable structure, and just kind of working with that, taking your time, building strength when you can. But it's hard for me to answer in the video. If you need one-on-one help, Joseph, I'd be glad to help you out. So you can just hit me up via DM on Instagram at Ben the Barman or on my group Massive Iron. Ryan says, advice for someone at close to natural limit. 15 years of training, 6'4", 205. Ectomorphic, 6-inch wrists, 500 dead, 300 bench, 100 plus weighted dips. Advice. The best advice I have, Ryan, is to understand you're not going to get a lot stronger than you are now. That doesn't mean you can't get stronger. You can get stronger. But you're at the crossroads. You're at the crossroads where I was at 10, 15 years ago. And that's why I got into powerlifting. You can continue to try to get stronger. and you're probably going to beat up your body if you push too hard day in and day out. So you have to understand that you probably have to do some form of intensity cycling. That means maybe a heavy day or more of a volume day, and then something a little bit, heavy day and something a little bit lighter with volume, less intensity, less weight intensity. You don't want to train heavy every day. That's something you need to understand. You can't go heavy every day for the rest of your life, or you're going to beat the crap out of your body. The next thing you need to understand is that you can still make progress, but it's going to be very, very slowly. So you have to be patient, and you have to not worry or obsess with progress so much, because you could only add 5 pounds to your bench press a year for the next 5 years, 10 years. So it's all at that point when you're pretty close to your natural limits. It's all about patience. It's all about consistency. And really what it's about at that point is training smart and not beating up your body so you can remain consistent. I hope that helps. Let's see. Swires. What to do if a muscle feels tender to the touch, including some adhesions. That sounds like some form of bruising. And if it feels tender, a tender soreness, me personally, I heat it. I would heat it with some kind of a hot bath, or something that you can place on there that would heat the area, like a balm or whatever. Excuse me, guys. My sinuses are bothering me, and it's cold and wet out here. But if it's tender to the touch, you'd probably want to heat it and help encourage some blood flow to the area to help it recover a little bit. Tool Boy says, I use old chucks. That's what I use for squatting and deadlifting. Adolfo says, your opinions on reverse hack squat exercise. I have done a lot of reverse hacks. I like it. I have to pull my feet back to the top of the plate, and I use them as kind of almost like a good morning, like a pseudo good morning, half reverse hack, half good morning. I like the exercise. I feel it's a good way to train the quads with a little hamstring focus, depending on how you do it. But I think they're a quality exercise, and it's one that I've used quite a bit over the last 3 to 4 years. Chris Burnett says, most guys around my gym use Vans or Chucks for the flat soles. Joel Johnson says, how to prevent stretch marks in its damn increasing in my upper body. How to prevent it? No way, no. Here's how to prevent it. I'm not being facetious. Stop lifting. Stop getting stronger. That's the only way to prevent it. Absolutely the only way to prevent stretch marks up here. I got all kinds of stretch marks. They are just part and parcel of what we are doing. You probably can't see them because of the lighting. Everywhere. They're going to happen in the shoulders. The only way you can stop them, and I'm not being facetious or dismissive, the only way you can stop them is to stop lifting. I love all the training advice. Big fan. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Dean says, what is a healthy, steady muscular weight for a 36-year-old lifter? A healthy, steady muscular weight. If you are at 5'10", like I am, or the internet thinks I'm 4'2". If you're at 5'10", like I am, my natural potential, that is my weight if I had no fat, which is obviously physiologically impossible, but we're using it for example. If I was at my natural muscular limit, it would be about 178 to 180. At 10% body fat, that would be about 200. So that's a baseline. 10% body fat, natural limit, 5'10", 200 pounds. For every inch taller or smaller you are, you either add 5 pounds or subtract 5 pounds. So if you're 5'8", you'd want to be at about 190 at 10% body fat. That's your max if you were ripped and had as much muscle as you could get. Most of us aren't going to be there. So for a 5'10" guy, if you were at your max natural potential, 220 would be about 20% body fat. That'd be about the fattest you would want to get if you were a muscular, beefy 5'10". For every inch shorter than that, subtract 5 pounds. For every inch taller than that, add 5 pounds. But never go over 240 pounds as a male, because there's too many health issues you're going to have to deal with. What I mean is that a lot of the research we have shows that if you are over 240 pounds, the longevity statistics are not in your favor. Not in your favor, because the body has to carry around that weight. So it's always safe to stay under that. So I hope that helps some. If you have less muscle, you're going to have to subtract 5 or 10 pounds from that. So a 20%, a 5'10" guy at 20% body fat, who's not, who maybe needs 15 more pounds of muscle, they should be at maybe about 205 at 20% body fat, or 195 at, whatever body fat percentage. I hope that helps some. It's probably confusing. Joshua says, could try putting small plates under your heels. I don't ever recommend putting plates under your heels, because most guys that tell me that they can't squat flat-footed aren't squatting properly. And if I'm in the gym with them, I can kind of dial in a few things and get them to squat properly. Speaking of being in the gym with me, just a reminder, in January, I'm doing a complete 2-day seminar, no sleep for the big, hairy, ugly dude in Ohio. Please join me. Please join me. The cost is very reasonable. I'm going to be there for 2 straight days. I'm going to feed you both days. And I'm going to be working after each training, after each seminar day. I'm going to be sitting there until either I die or everybody's out of the gym, but I'm going to be helping everybody with form or specific questions. You can check out that under the packages tab at my website, Super Living Today. Please join me. Let's see, S. Param. New lifters need extra ab work, incline leg raises, barbell side bends, and upper back erector work. Do you recommend twisting work? Do beginners need more ab work? No. Beginners need to strengthen their abs like every other muscle group. The problem with more ab work is that it usually equates into more spinal flexion. More ab work can often make the lower back weaker, because you have a beginner, or it can often tax the lower back, because you have a beginner that's doing squats and deadlifts, and they're working their lower back. They're putting a lot of stress on their lower back. And you don't want to overwork the abs. You want to, with spinal flexion stuff. You want to do like ab wheel rollouts and planks, and maybe a little bit of something else you enjoy. But like twisting exercises, I'm not big on those. I really don't see a lot of value in those for an ab program. But then again, this isn't a rule. So if you find an ab exercise you like that involves a little bit of twisting, you can do it. Occasionally, I've done weighted sit-ups on a decline bench that had a little twisting. And why? Because I wanted to try it. And it feels a little bit different, and I could do it. So mileage is going to vary, but it's not a requirement. JC Gadfly says, are Zercher squats a good alternative to front squats? I have a hard time holding a proper clean. That's a very good question. Now, for a lot of guys in the front squat position, it can be difficult. It's difficult for me to hold it because I'm just, bulky. It's difficult. And I can use straps, but they just don't feel good. I just don't like the front squat position. I just don't like the way it feels. So he's asking, can you do Zercher squats? Putting the bar down here in your elbows? Absolutely. You really have to focus, though, on getting a good, squatting properly, so you're getting a lot of quad involvement. You want to really focus on keeping your lower back tight, so you are not, putting a lot of stress on your lower back. That's the biggest problem with Zercher squats, is that guys will not focus on upper body tightness. They're so focused on that weight in their elbow that they don't have their upper body tight. So just like in the squat, when we're pulling down here, in the Zercher, when you got that weight on your elbow, you want to drive, you almost want to pull down with your hands. And that'll keep your upper back and upper body tight. And that'll help you, that tightness will help you keep your lower back tight when you're doing Zercher. So just keep that in mind. Thanks for the live chat. Thank you. If I missed any of you guys' questions, just post them up at Massive Iron Group over at Facebook. I could write, Gain says I couldn't write the full question because of the character limit. You guys can just come on over to my Instagram at Ben the Barman and send me a longer question if you want, or just go over to my website. Let's see. Marcelli. Steve, been lifting more than 5 years. Work out 4 times a week. Diet question, TDEE. Not sure what the question is. Brett says, my elbow, specifically the inner side of my elbow, are taking a beating and are very sore and tender after every workout. I wear compression sleeves. The inner side of your elbow, that's usually elbow tendonitis. Now, I've made a lot of videos about elbow tendonitis. The biggest thing you need to do right now, and I don't know for certain that it's elbow tendonitis, but the biggest thing you need to do right now is get you some Versa grips at tigerfitness.com, or some, if you can't afford $45 or whatever they are, get some $10 straps. And you want to start allowing those straps or Versa grips to do your grip work on your back day, because all that gripping work is creating elbow tendonitis, is contributing to elbow tendonitis. I tell guys this every single day of my life. The guys that listen to me and trust me and start to relax their grip on back work and let the Versa grips do some work, start to see that pain go away, assuming it's elbow tendonitis. Marcelli says, TDEE is 2,300, going up to 2,800, 3,000 calories a day. Weight growth has been very slow. Is this normal? Now, let's define very slow. You want very slow weight gain. You don't want rapid weight gain. If you are a beginner, the most amount of muscle mass you can pack on in a year is 15 to 16 pounds. That's just a hair over a pound a month. So if you are a beginner and you are packing on more than 1.5 pounds per month on average, your weight gain is too rapid. So you want slow and steady weight gain, especially over the course of 5 years. Because if you think about it, if you come into the game like I did at 155 pounds and you gain 30 pounds of muscle like the big hairy ugly dude did, and I went up from 155 to 185, that's slow, steady weight gain. If I would have went up from 155 to 245, I would have still only had a 30-pound muscle gain. Slow and steady, play the long game. Do not turn into a fatty, because you will regret it and you will feel like crap. So slow and steady is good. That's the best place to be in. Slow and steady weight gain. Gain says, I want to know, let me get some coffee here. I want to know if it's good to feel some minimal inflammation after taking 6 months off. Is it normal to feel inflammation after returning to lifting? It certainly can be. If you have a specific exercise, and this is just a general rule, but if you have a specific exercise that is contributing to inflammation, you know it's directly causing inflammation, it's a good idea to increase the amount of warm-up sets you do on that exercise. And it's a good idea to increase the volume of reps. So tricep extensions, okay? It's an exercise, skull crushers, tricep extensions. It's an exercise that bothers a lot of guys. Excuse me. That's the problem with live videos. You have to hear me clear my throat because I'm still trying to wake up. So back to the point here. Tricep extensions cause a lot of inflammation and elbow issues for guys. I found that if I, instead of just doing one warm-up set for these suckers, if I did 4 to 5 with a very light weight of 10 reps, and it took me 3 extra minutes in the gym, and I just got the blood flowing and I got the temperature up, when I did my normal reps, I felt a lot better, a lot. So if you are experiencing unusual inflammation or irritating inflammation on exercise, maybe overhead presses, maybe tricep extensions, whatever it is, I suggest adding in about 3, maybe 4 more warm-up sets of very light weight of 8 to 10 reps. Get the blood flowing. Don't rest a long time in between these sets. Get the blood flowing to that area. Get the area warmer. And let me know what you think. See if it helps. My home gym is higher reps for incline dumbbell chest press. Absolutely. Dumbbell benches or dumbbell work I don't really like for lower rep sets. Save that for barbell stuff. Ben on Adventure says, my home gym is bare bones, but good enough. Adjustable bench, pull-up dip, a pair of 100-pound adjustable dumbbells, resistance bands. That sounds perfect, and that's about what I'm putting in right here, right now, today, actually. What role does rest time play? Why sometimes it may be 2 minutes, and sometimes it may be as many as possible. Excuse me. When it comes to rest in between sets, and I have sinus fits. My sinuses give me fits. And on a rainy day like today, it's just awful. So I really apologize if I'm clearing my throat or can't breathe properly. Rest in between sets. It has to be about, do I feel mentally and physically ready to go again? All right? People that rush rest in between sets of compound movements are fools, because they make that rest period more important than the compound set. Some days you're going to feel more tired. Some days you're going to feel less tired. The rest in between sets on compound movements should be more intuitive, and just go again when you feel mentally and physically ready to go. And depending on the exercise and how you feel that day and your set and rep protocol, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 5 minutes. Now with machine exercises, cable exercises, isolation exercises, or even less intense compound movements. Say you're doing a lot of volume on dumbbell bench presses. The rest periods could be shorter. Could be 60 seconds, could be 90 seconds, could be 2 minutes. But it's still a little bit intuitive. And I hope that helps some. But, until you get down to the rest pause, rest doesn't really matter too much as far as muscle growth. Just keep it sane. George says, have you ever thought of competing in a bodybuilding show? Thought of competing? Yeah. I've been doing this for a long time, and bodybuilding is something that, I liked. That's what got me into lifting. Have I thought about doing it? Yeah, I thought about doing it. We all think I should do that once in my life. But, right now my focus in life is on growing a business, and I'm 51, so I want to get my training business going, and I really want to help people lose weight because obesity has just gotten out of control. I switched to 15 to 20 rep range for incline dumbbell and got through a plateau. Wonderful. I love doing that stuff, especially on dumbbell benches. That's a good way to break through a plateau. What do you think of the Athlean X program? Never saw it, to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Athlean X, but I've never seen the program. What do you think is the minimal amount of weekly volume per muscle group for someone with less than stellar recovery using maximized sets? The minimum, probably 8 sets for major muscle groups, minimum. But that could be something like 2 sets of barbell bench press, 2 sets of dumbbell bench press, 2 sets of machine chest press, 2 sets of push-ups. 8 sets is probably the minimum I would ever recommend for anybody. Opinion on Jim Stepani. I honestly get a lot of questions like this, and Jim does some really ganky exercises on YouTube, like on a Smith machine, he's flying the Smith bar up while curling and crap like that. Jim's generally a pretty decent guy from what I can tell. I don't know his programs. I've never looked at his programming. I don't, never looked at the nuts and bolts of his training philosophies. He's just kind of a corporate dude as far as I can tell, and I don't see anything necessarily bad about him. Thoughts on squatting every day? What's the point? Seriously. Sometimes if you want to squat every day, give it a try. It can be a fun thing. I tried it. It's not fun. It's mentally tiring. I found, and I ended up squatting heavy 2 to 3 times a week when I was at my strongest. I found that that was better mentally, and that was better for recovery. I just found it to be a more enjoyable program. I didn't find squatting more frequently to provide any added benefit. In fact, I found it to be too much of a distraction from the other type of work I wanted to do. If you're going to squat every day, try it. Make sure you take a day off, like 3 days on, 1 day off, 6 days on, 1 day off. Get a rest day in and be intuitive. Only do on that day what you feel like doing. Don't force yourself to stick to a specific program. My battery's going to die here soon, so I got to jump off soon. So for losing weight, we should remain in calorie deficit, mostly from carbohydrates, or should we increase protein? That's a very good question. Your fat intake should probably be 25 to 35% of your diet, depending on your needs and likes and what you like to eat. Your protein intake should be about a minimum of 150 grams. Now, when guys are cutting, I like to see them bump up the protein intake 10 to 20 grams a day, just as a backup plan, just to make sure they're eating enough, because a lot of guys sometimes dip under that 150. So I think it's a good idea to raise up the protein just a little bit. But when your protein is between 150 to, say, max 200 grams a day, your fats are 25 to 30% of your daily intake. The only real variable from there you're going to adjust during a cutting diet is reduction of carbs. So I hope that makes sense. Best way to gain strength on the bench while maintaining some volume for hypertrophy. Here's what I did for many, many years. Use something like my power muscle block system over at superlivingtoday.com. I go in and I do my heavy sets on bench. I do my heavy work. Sometimes it's a heavy single, double, triple. Sometimes it's a couple 5-rep sets. Then I drop down and do my volume. So I do my heavy work, a couple sets of heavy work before I do my volume. And that's kind of how the power muscle block system works. Do you know Seba Khat? No, I do not. I like your manly voice. Thank you. Your opinion on creatine HCl for older guys. Creatine, in general, is a wise decision because it is proven. It's not magic, but it's a good choice, and it's very inexpensive. My battery's about to die, guys, and I can't keep up with the questions. I got like 10 that I missed. I'm very, very sorry, but this is about an hour. If I missed your question, check out Instagram Live at Ben the Barman on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I'm on Instagram Live at 7 p.m. And I'll be back here next Saturday at 10 a.m. I've been keeping this consistent. I plan on keeping it consistent for a while. If I missed your question, hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman. And again, if you need workout help, exercise form help, a diet assessment, you want to know your body fat percentage, or you want coaching, you need help with weight loss coaching. My clients are very successful. Head over to my website. Have a great day.